Hey there everybody, and welcome back to more 9 The Last Resort. If you remember last time, we were off to chase the toxic twins into the chasm.
I shall pray that you return unsevered.
And what is the chasm, you might be saying? Well, it's apparently a doorway into another dimension of more crazy, stupid crap. Whoa! I would say it kind of is a maze, but it's really not. It's only got a few of these little tiny islands to go to, and there's really no way to get lost per se. But it might be a bit difficult to find all the necessary things we are going to need in this general area. But if you make sure to look through that viewfinder up on the second floor, it might give you some ideas of some points of interest. Our first point of interest is going to be well, if you remember, there was a skeleton next to what looked like a stripper pole. And we're pretty much there, just one more jump to make.
You're after the bastard duo, no? I hope you nail him, man. They took my soul friend, my last bottle of sweet rot gut. You pay or you play. I don't have to sit here with my head out and take this.
So, if you couldn't understand what that skeleton was saying in his Cosby-esque voice, he apparently wants booze. And we can only assume the toxic twins might have stolen the booze from him, but if you remember from the viewfinder that there was also a rather hard to see bar somewhere in the chasm. So somewhere in here we're going to need to find that. And thankfully that's actually not too difficult to find. And a very ominous looking skull. This will be for a puzzle later on in this video. For right now though, just 2 more jumps and we will be at the bar. I will say I do like this section overall initially. It's just there is a bit of backtracking you have to do through here, and it kind of wears out its welcome fairly quickly. But here we are at the bar. And it may be hard to tell, but these panels in front are actually little cabinets, allowing us to get this rather large bottle of booze. And on the other side of the bar, as we slowly turn around, is a box, a massive dose time bomb, and what's inside but, well, it looks like a mock-up of the Muse Machine. This is actually where the vacuum tube is, right down there at the lower right hand corner. For right now though, we're going to leave it be and just continue on our way due to the fact we can only carry 1 item at a time. And I've got this whole kooky plan to make sure that we pretty much maximize our time and limit how much we are going to need to travel around. Especially with how much we are going to need to travel around the chasm. I will be editing out most of that though, but you know, for the shorter trips, I figured I'd just go ahead and leave it in. It's a nice nightmare world that we can only assume is some alternate dimension into hell that resides in this fantastical place. what's our reward for giving him the booze?
That's cool, pal. Give it over nice and easy. You know, great. Now here's something you can use. No hard feelings, huh, pal? Good luck. You're gonna need more than that. Make yourself lost.
Right, so we got a bone. And where do we use this bone? Well, we use it back up on the second floor. If you remember this shiny door here. It's a door to a garage. And we get approached by this vicious attack dog, but thankfully, with our bone, we are able to get past him and continue inside. Science! But there's quite a few bits and ends in this little chrome nightmare. But first, we want to check out this little race car here. You may actually notice in the reflection there seems to be something in the driver's seat. And what is that but another music page for that rather large, cumbersome organ puzzle that we'll be dealing with probably in the next video. The next thing we want to investigate is our robot friend over here.
Yo, pal, Charlie's the name. Up for some slut car action?
I guess we are up for some slot car action, so let's go ahead and get that started.
Red for the Stock Car Nationals!
Embrace an Edsel!
So we've got a few different cars here to select, but what we want to actually select is the far right one. It may seem like it has the worst stats, but it's actually pretty much the only one that will win.
You can't win with that, Lemon. Set, zap the lights after you've said your prayers.
Now this, I wouldn't even call this a puzzle. It's actually just hold down the mouse button and watch your car go around this track while we are assaulted with this awful digitized farting noise.
Hey, you came out of cruise control. My compliments. Must have neglected your inherent driving prowess. You better check my tool shed, because you'll need a few spare parts. But look out for the crosswind.
So by winning the stock car, or the slot car race, we now have access to this toolbox, which is over in this corner.
I'm burning oil here. See ya later.
Right, that was a odd noise. So we have a number of interesting things in here. First is, well, a diagram. This will make sense later on. We also have another Muse Machine part, this spark plug here, but we're going to leave that behind because what we actually do want is this jagged cog. And we're going to take a bit of a shortcut back into the chasm. And where does that place us in the chasm? Why, it places us back at the skeleton. So we can actually use that as a shortcut back up into that garage area if we ever need it. And I'll be doing the general Muse Machine item collection pretty much off camera. I'll make sure and show each piece being put in because There is an interesting bit of dialogue each time you put one of the pieces into the Muse Machine. But the actual collection and everything I will do off camera just to speed everything up. Now you may be wondering where we are going to have to use this cog. Well, there is actually a puzzle at that skull with the number 5 on it. It's hidden underneath a panel in the ground. So we're going to go ahead and solve that right now. So by opening up this panel, we find that we have 4 different cogs. One of them is missing, so we're going to have to place down our cog. Now, the way to solve this puzzle is we have to, well, it's a bit hard to explain, but we have to make sure that whenever we place all 4 of these cogs down, that we can see all of the pink. All the pink dots you see, and no covered up spaces, nothing like that. So by turning these cogs in very specific ways and placing them on top of each other, we should actually have a combination as such that will have all the cogs and all the pink dots visible. Not too difficult of a puzzle, just a logic puzzle more or less. And just need to spin this last cog a little bit, and it's ready to go. And what did that do for us? Well, we can now enter the mouth of the skull. Leading us into a brand new room.
I'm caught in my own space.
Oh, what was that voice? Well, that voice is actually coming from this guitar case. The problem is,
Those 2 jerks ripped off my G-string. Be a white knight and steal it back from them. They can't use it, but to come out, I crave it.
right, so for this female guitar we have to retrieve its G-string, which if you were looking forward to some sexy female guitar action, well, I've got the game just for you. And thankfully the Toxic Twins seem to want to collect all their stolen items in the same place, so if you can assume where the liquor and the vacuum tube were placed, you can pretty much assume where the G-string is. There's another hidden compartment on the front of the bar here, and there it is, our G-string. Fairly easy to find as long as you realize you can go back into the skull, and pretty much a process of elimination since there are no other places for the item to be hidden, really. But let's go ahead and return this G-string to that poor underwearless guitar? I don't know.
I feel naked without my G-string. Took you long enough, honey. Just stay loose while I slide into this. Yes. This is more like it. Darn, I'm all messed up. You gotta help me out here, big boy. Tune me tight.
Now, it may be a bit hard to hear, but this guitar is actually voiced by Anne Heche, of all people. And what we're going to need to do is use our handy dandy tuning guide that we found back in the throne room and use this nearby tuner to adjust her strings.
More of that, please. Ooh, you just found one of my musical pressure points.
Now she'll give you an indication of whether or not you're doing things right
Don't
or
stop
wrong.
now.
The one thing that you have to keep in mind
I'm just getting warmed up.
that I originally didn't whenever I was doing this
I'm a very sensitive instrument.
was that the visual guide that you find in the throne room, you had to pretty much reverse since she is
Ouch.
facing
That's too
the
high.
opposite direction
Back it
from
off.
us.
Watch my neck. Don't push so hard.
I think it was at this point when I suddenly realized, well, if you notice that red triangle in the center of the meter there, that's actually where we are wanting to get the little dial to end up on.
Ouch! That's too high. Back it off. Now that's a tonic chord if I ever felt one.
And even though I was, for some reason, having it light
This is good
up,
for my weight.
it still wasn't right at
It
all.
restores my harmonic range. Definitely a major chord.
So now that I've figured out the right direction to go, we can easily
Don't push
solve
so
this puzzle.
hard. Ooh, you just found one of my... Keep going. Don't stop now. You're putting me through some chord changes. I'm just getting warmed up. This is good for my weight. What an octave leap. It restores my harmonic range. Ouch! That's too high! Back it off! Ooh, you just found one of my... Keep going. Don't stop now. I'm just getting warmed up. Yes, indeed. Don't push so hard. This is good for my weight. It restores my harmonic range. Right on the button.
Hooray, we solved it.
You helped me regain composure. I'm in harmony with nature again. Thanks. You know, you're cool. Here, it's yours. Au revoir, and don't take any cheap wooden picks.
And what do we get for our efforts but a tuning fork, which is another piece of the Muse Machine. We've already got 3 out of the 5 pieces. And before we finish the video, we have another quick little puzzle over here.
A game you would perchance like to be playing?
And this one just involves us. We just need to get the ball down to the very bottom center without it getting stuck or having it run off the side. It's not too difficult to figure out. It's mostly just trial and error. And after we get it down to the bottom, what is our reward?
Persist in your efforts. If you are success.
Well, if we click on the ball, we get...
Stimulating, no?
the final page of music for that organ puzzle.
Farewell and good fortune, my friend.
See you next time for more 9.